Home Business Review Basics. In the next few moments, I would like to help you understand how to properly conduct a home business review. By the way, a home business review is the leadership development factory of our organization, in fact, of the entire industry. What is a home business review? A home business review is a part of the pattern of activities which lead to ultimate success. What is that pattern of activities? The revenue generating activities. Step number 6, we create a candidate list. More to come on that. Step 7, we learn how to invite. An audio file entitled The Invitation will be of great value to you here. And now to present the business. I've described briefly that we simply push play. That was in your new member orientation. But let's go a little bit more deeply into that thought. How exactly do we conduct a home business review? We've identified candidates, we've properly invited. There's been some first exposure to the business. I personally do not prefer to have people over to my home to learn the very first thing about our company, our product line, or our opportunity. I like to talk to people who want to talk to me. When a person has observed and watched your first look, or when they've tried a product first, or when they have reviewed 20 years, or when they've been to any one of the KANNAWAY corporate tools, they have a general sense and idea of what we're discussing, and they come with their eyes already open to a degree and their ears open. We have a warm, receptive, and responsive group of people. First message, I only want to talk to people who want to talk to me. I only want you to talk to people who want to talk to you. That makes this fun. It makes it easy. Now let's walk through the process. Samantha and I, we open our home each Tuesday evening and we invite people over to learn about KANNAWAY. As you've just heard, they already know why they're coming. I have a great friend tonight coming to our home for a home business review. He knows exactly why he's coming. Yesterday, he reviewed a couple of tools. We had a brief phone conversation. He knows why he will be there. He will not learn at that moment why he's there. And because that's true, I'll have an open, receptive audience. Now, here are a few things that always make a successful presentation. And incorrectly done, they can stand in the way of that success. First, my friend's name that's coming tonight with a group of others happens to be Matt. And I have instructed Matt, invited Matt, encouraged Matt to be there at 6 p.m. Here's what will occur. Whether or not Matt and the others are there at 6, the presentation will start at 6. The first simple message is to know this. The 7 o'clock meeting starts at 7. The 8 o'clock meeting starts at 8. Wasn't so many months ago. I was with a friend in Southern California. I was at his home. He was doing a presentation. Had 3 great guests there. And in full earshot of those 3 guests, when it came time to start, he said, well, my most important prospect hasn't arrived yet, and we're going to wait for her. Well, that kind of ruined it, didn't it? What we do is we start on time, we honor and respect those who are there on time. That simple bit of awareness, of correct behavior changes the way everything looks. A few more thoughts. When people come to our home, Samantha's like the perfect hostess of all. She's the perfect hostess. But what does that mean in our business? In our business, it means that when you walk into our home, it is clean, it's neat, it's tidy, it feels good. You walk in, there's a sense of peace and ease and comfort. People feel welcomed into our home. That occurs as a result of not just the home itself, but it occurs as a result of the warmth of greeting, the way it feels when one walks in. And when one walks in, we then guide them into the kitchen area, and there's a very simple set of snacks. Typically sparkling water, some cheese and crackers, and maybe some fresh vegetables, and that's about the size of it. Why? Because remember that every single thing that we're doing is teaching other people what they must do. Samantha and I have lived a life of some financial success for a period of time. If a person walks into our house and it feels too expensive for them, if we have an elaborate setting of refreshments, the correct perception might be, well, this is cool, but I can't do it. By the way, one might also walk into our home and say, well, of course, Randy and Samantha can do it. They've got this home. No, Randy and Samantha have got this home because they do it. The exact same thing is true of you. Engage in the process. You begin to have financial possibilities that would otherwise not be available. Back to HBR basics. Number 1, we start on time. Next thing I'd like you to recognize is how many people make for the perfect session. The perfect session is 7 possible new enrollments. That's perfect. Now, we go on and do our best irrespective of whether or not it's perfect, but it's 7. Why is it 7? It's 7 because now we can make direct interaction and contact with each one. If it's 20, I can't do it. If it's 2,000, I can't do it. If it's 7, I can. I can talk to each one individually. I can learn a little bit about them. And by the way, when we begin each session, we have each person introduce themselves and describe a little bit about why they're here. We know them, but they don't know one another. We like this comfortable, warm environment. If we have too many people, it can't happen. If we don't have enough people, the chemistry is not exactly right. So we have each person introduce themselves. This following that simple moment of refreshment, we start on time, and when we start on time, ask each person to introduce themselves. They become warm with one another, and now here's what we've observed occur again and again and again and again. Nearly always happens. If we have, and by the way, why is 7 the best? I'm not sure, but I've tried 8 and it doesn't work as well, and 6 doesn't work as well. 7 is perfect. We can make eye contact with each. We can have interaction before and after with each. Each one can feel like they are the single focal point in the room at some point in time. And as we go through the presentation, at some point in one of the video clips or segments, we will see the person who is nodding his or her head most affirmatively, the one who is smiling, the one who is most enthusiastic. And at the conclusion of the final video segment used in the Home Business Review, I will simply point to that person. And let's assume it's you and your name is Matt, and I will say, Matt, based on all you've seen and heard, what is your level of interest in this business on a scale of 1 to 10? And the number will never be low. It will always be high. It will be 8, 9, or 10. Remember, I've selected the one who's nodding most affirmatively, the one who perhaps told me on the way in how eager they were to get started, the one who's expressed the most positive feedback as a result of this initial invitation, the most positive chatter before the presentation began, the most positive voice interactions, the most positive verbal and nonverbal interactions during the course of the presentation. I know in advance what the answer will be. On a scale of 1 to 10, where does your interest lie? It will always be 8, 9, or 10. For anyone whose interest level is higher than 7, I say, great. Matt, what you've heard so far is what the business is. We've had little discussion, in fact, none about how to do the business. What I'd like to do is make this personal for you. Let's get together sometime in the next 48 hours and go through a new member orientation, or in fact, I can help you with it at the conclusion of this evening presentation if you would like to. Therefore, if he is ready to enroll that evening, we will do the enrollment at that time. We'll walk through a new member orientation and set in motion that same pattern again. HBR basics, what are the keys? Number 1, start on time. Number 2, understand how many people would make a perfect home business review. Number 3, be warm and inviting in whatever snacks and beverages are made available, but don't go over the top because it looks too expensive. Another word to the wise here, never, ever, ever include alcohol in a home business presentation. It doesn't ever work. People don't make better business decisions because they have a glass of wine. If you would like to offer an alcoholic beverage after the presentation, that I would leave to you. I tell you that we choose not to. I don't think that helps our business. So be careful in what we choose to serve. Be likewise careful in what we choose not to serve. Start on time. What about ending on time? If I've invited people and suggested it'll be a 1-hour presentation, then I'm going to start on time, and at no more than 58 minutes afterwards, we are going to conclude. And if there are those who want to stick around and enroll and do a new member orientation at that point, that is great. We will do so for them. But the actual planned and formal presentation concludes when we said it would, respecting people's times and letting them get back home. What else is appropriate and important to know about a home business review? We have a dog. Her name is Bogey. We love our dog, Bogey. But what if you don't like dogs? My gosh, I've got a guest staying in our house today, and Bogey jumped all over him. In a home business review, Bogey is out of sight and out of mind, and I'm hoping that nobody can tell when they're in our home that Bogey exists. Because while we love her, we don't know about the next person. Maybe you've got a cat that you love, but other people have cat allergies. The point is to take affirmative action to eliminate all possible distractions. Turn off the cell phone. My phone is not available to ring during that presentation. I can't be distracted. I pay specific and complete and absolute attention to those who are there. I don't concern myself with those who may not be there. We don't add chairs to any room. We invite people into our home and make the presentation in our home the way that we live it. If more come than we had intended or anticipated, we add a chair, but we don't ever have a person walk in, look around and say, oh my gosh, there are empty chairs here. This didn't go as well as was planned. There are no new mistakes. There are new people making old mistakes, and there are old people making old mistakes. One old mistake that I see is when we apply too much urgency. Here we are. We're here to stay. I want you to join when you want to join. I want you to place a first order when you want to place a first order. I want you to take action when you want to take action. If I fall into the trap of trying to convince you that my agenda is the right agenda, there is very, very, very little likelihood of a positive long-term outcome. I want to help you identify how this company, this product, this possibility, this opportunity can positively impact your life, and I then want to show you how within the constructs of your life you can put this business to work for you. I set my agenda aside, try to work towards your agenda. To the extent that you do likewise, you'll have positive, successful home business reviews. And the day will come not too long from now when you look around with fascination and say, wow, we invited a handful of friends over to our home that evening, and that night it was like we dropped a pebble in a pond and the ripples have started to spread. because today we have a friend across town who's having their home business review, and today we've got a friend in another state who's doing their home business review, and the time will come when we'll look around the world and say, wow, we've got somebody in other nations and other cultures and other people, places that we never could have imagined being in association with, because one evening we decided to open our home and conduct a proper home business review. We committed ourselves to a long-term process. We dropped a pebble in a pond, the ripples have spread, and look how it's benefited our lives. I believe we'll share those conversations over time. I look forward to seeing you along the way.